I'm a bit late to this news. Nate Diaz has stood up for Conor McGregor, who has recently said in some interviews for the movie he's done that he is pretty much being held hostage by the UFC, that his comeback keeps getting pushed back and he loses motivation, etc. And Nate Diaz, of all people, has jumped on Twitter and said, "This was me for many years. I understand what he's going through." And he's saying hashtag free Conor. This is, again, not what I was expecting from Nate Diaz. Now, as far as what Conor McGregor is saying, I've been 50-50 on what has been going on between him and the UFC, because on one hand, I'm very familiar, thanks to this UFC lawsuit that's been going on, this class action one, that the UFC will hold fighters hostage if they do not want to sign a contract extension with them. I'm very familiar with them doing that. They've been doing it for years, and they will do it to their biggest star. And Conor McGregor is certainly one of their biggest stars, has been for many years. But with that being said, Conor McGregor is just all over the place when it comes to talking about fighting. I just don't know what to believe with the guy. I really don't. So, yeah, it's been a weird situation for me. But Conor saying that the UFC is holding him hostage because he has 2 fights left on his contract and he's not looking to re-sign. There are journalists who, again, I am not the biggest fan of, who have been saying this for several months. And I wasn't sure to believe it or not, but I believe that there is a lot of truth to it. Now, as far as why Conor McGregor is not wanting to re-sign with him, well, clearly, this guy wants to be his own boss, and you don't get that in the UFC. He wants to go do other things. And again, he's talking about fighting every single body in existence, which again is completely ridiculous, but I am sure that regardless of who he actually intends to fight, who he thinks is realistic for him to fight next, he just wants to do it on his terms. So the UFC, of course, doesn't like that, and yeah, this is going to happen. So at the end of the day, what's going to happen here is how long can the UFC hold Conor McGregor hostage? Well, they're going to wait till the very, very end. And, you know, Dana White doesn't like being asked about Conor McGregor, and how can you blame him? Because they're trying to re-sign him. Conor doesn't want to re-sign. He's saying, no, it's all down to me, etc. And they're saying, no, it's all down to us, really. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. They're like, well, we'll make you wait for as long as possible. The last thing I'll say on this is, regardless of where you stand on this whole thing, whether you side with the UFC, whether you side with Conor McGregor, there's absolutely, in my opinion, no denying that Conor McGregor is no longer going to be interested in fighting the best mixed martial arts fighters. I'm sure of it. Yes, he talks about it, but Conor McGregor talks about all kinds of stuff. If he really wanted to extend his time in MMA to fight the best fighters in the world, to possibly become champion again, challenge Islam Makhachev or Charles Oliveira, as he was talking about before, then he would be re-signing with the UFC. But all this talk about him wanting to, again, fight Dustin Poirier for a 4th time, to fight Justin Gaethje and have that grudge match, etc., etc., to me it's all bluster. I think it's very clear Conor wants to go to Saudi Arabia, and he's just talking about fighting the best fighters in MMA because he's very good at talking. But yeah, I'm sure he wants to go fight in a boxing fight in Saudi Arabia, do what he did with Floyd Mayweather. I think it's very clear that the hunger for Conor McGregor to fight in MMA has gone. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more.